let's get one thing straight. You were born to fast. Your body already knows how. It's wired into your biology. And what's really gotten in the way is just the modern eating schedule, right? We wake up, eat, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, dessert, late night snack. That's not nourishment. That's constant interruption.
Welcome to Health Decoded, your number one source for real health information, with your hosts, Dr. Alessi and Matt Tack.
Hey, Health Decoded listeners. Dr. Alessi here. Let me ask you a serious question. Are you tired of waiting until something goes wrong to finally see a doctor? At Alessi Functional Health, we take a different approach, the right approach. We believe true healthcare isn't about chasing symptoms. It's about preventing them in the first place. That's why we created the Alessi Total Care Program. This is a functional medicine-based membership that gives you proactive, personalized care year-round. You'll get access to comprehensive blood work and functional testing, custom doctor-grade nutraceuticals, deep discounts on labs, protocols, and follow-ups, as well as 24/7 direct access to your doctor, not just a 10-minute checkup that ends with another prescription. And here's the best part. As a Health Decoded listener, you'll get your first 3 months completely free when you sign up for an annual membership. That's on top of hundreds in savings already built into the program. This is your chance to take responsibility for your health and join a movement that's redefining what primary care should look like. Head on over to alessifunctionalhealth.com, click on our services tab, and go to Total Care. Learn more about this program and claim your exclusive podcast listener offer. Your health is your greatest asset. Let's protect it proactively. Welcome back to another episode of Health Decoded. I am your host, Dr. Alessi, and this week we have a really special, really fun episode, something that's really important and that we touched on briefly last week in our episode about gut health, and this is the importance of fasting. Now, humans have been fasting forever. For as long as humans have been on this planet, fasting has been a part of just our biology. And realistically, people didn't used to have access to food all the time. It wasn't that we always just were able to eat whenever we wanted. And so fasting was just a part of how we lived. And I think it's safe to say that getting away from fasting as much and being able to have access to so much food all the time has created a lot of issues for human health and ultimately gut health and just the way that we balance our metabolism as human beings. So this is going to be a really, really impactful episode. We hope that you enjoy it, and let's just get started. So first things first is, what is fasting? How do you do it? Why does it work? Let's just start with that. So fasting is not a diet. It's not a hack, and it's definitely not starving yourself, right? What it is a biological rhythm that's hardwired into your DNA. It's a cycle that our ancestors followed naturally because they had to. In the absence of grocery stores, Uber Eats, and protein bars every 3 hours, the body has evolved to thrive during periods of both what we call feast and famine, right? They would kill an animal or whatever they would have to eat. They would eat that, and then they maybe go a couple of days without food. And so what is fasting? It's simply going a period of time without consuming calories. That's it. But in that simplicity lies a biological superpower. When you stop eating, your body doesn't shut down, it actually levels up. Energy is redirected away from your digestion and toward healing, detoxification, and cellular repair. So now enter the concept of metabolic flexibility, something we harp on a lot. Most modern humans are stuck in sugar burning mode 24/7. They eat every 2 to 3 hours, which maintains a level of elevated insulin all day. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted, inflamed, and foggy, because fasting actually restores your body's ability to burn fat as fuel and eventually produce things called ketones, which are a clean burning energy source that your brain thrives on. And it ultimately can cause healing in the body as well. And so the concept of metabolic flexibility is basically your ability to toggle between sugar and fat burning states as needed. Without it, you're metabolically inflexible and at a greater risk for obesity, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and more. So what happens inside the body when you fast? Well, number one, insulin drops. Within 12 to 16 hours of fasting, your insulin levels begin to fall. This signals your body to start releasing stored fat and burning that as fuel. Around the 16 to 24-hour mark, autophagy activates. Autophagy is when your cells begin cleaning house. Basically, autophagy means self-eating. Breaks down damaged mitochondria, misfolded proteins, and precancerous cells and starts to get those out. Then what happens? Inflammation begins to lower. Fasting will suppress those pro-inflammatory cytokines and promote an anti-inflammatory state. Growth hormone begins to rise. This hormone is what helps preserve muscle, regenerate tissue, even when you're not eating. And then mitochondria multiply. So extended fasting promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, giving your cells more energy producing powerhouses to fuel optimal function. We discussed this in a previous episode. And so a study out of the New England Journal of Medicine in 2019 said that intermittent fasting improves biomarkers of disease, reduces oxidative stress, and preserves learning and memory function. So basically, fasting makes you healthier, sharper, and live longer on a cellular level. Now, why does Big Pharma hate this? Well, because there's no profit in fasting. There's no prescription to fill, no side effects to manage, no monthly subscription. Fasting treats the root cause of disease, which is insulin resistance, inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, and an overload of toxins. Big Pharma profits off managing symptoms, whereas fasting dismantles the disease before that even starts. So if you want real energy and real fat loss, real disease prevention, you don't need a new pill. You need to honor the biology you were born with. Fasting won't break your body. It will finally give it the chance to fix itself. And so the science, the healing science of fasting is remarkable. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about, getting a lower calorie count so you can kind of reset that diet and cut some pounds, although those are beneficial side effects often. It's about resetting your biology, because once the food intake stops, your body isn't shutting down. It's turning on systems that have been dormant, right? Things that are not active because there's constantly new food coming in. And then healing begins at the molecular level. So let's talk about that same process we just briefly spoke on and exactly how fasting becomes a form of regenerative medicine. So a little bit more detail here on that biological chain, the reaction of a fast. So first things first, insulin drops. When you eat, insulin rises. And when you stop eating, insulin drops. That single change will trigger a cascade. Fat burning turns on, your blood sugar levels will begin to stabilize, and then your hormones will begin to balance, allowing inflammation to start to go down as well. And so elevated insulin or hyperinsulinemia is really the silent driver behind most chronic diseases. And so fasting is a great way to reverse that. What happens next is your growth hormone rises. Contrary to popular myth, fasting doesn't burn muscle, it protects muscle. During a fast, growth hormone can increase by up to 1,300% in women and 2,000% in men. This is according to research published in Clinical Endocrinology. The growth hormone in human bodies supports tissue repair, enhances muscle preservation, and boosts fat metabolism. So you're not going to be wasting away, you're going to be rebuilding smarter. Now, autophagy kicks in, and this is basically the cellular spring cleaning. At about the 16 to 24-hour mark of a fast, something remarkable happens. Your cells begin to self-clean. Misfolded proteins linked to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease are broken down. Damaged mitochondria are recycled. And precancerous cells are often destroyed before they even become a threat. So autophagy is basically the body's built-in detox program that only turns on when insulin is low and you're not eating. What happens next? Inflammation plummets. Chronic low-grade inflammation, which is the root cause of nearly every modern disease from heart disease to anxiety, starts to go down. Fasting reduces inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and TNF-alpha, giving your body a chance to repair without interference. And so There are some conditions that have been shown to dramatically improve with fasting. Things like type 2 diabetes. Fasting will restore the insulin sensitivity and can reverse diabetes in many cases, especially when paired with low carb diet. We have seen this many times in our clinic. We have helped people go from labeled diabetic on blood work to non-diabetic, or maybe from diabetic to pre-diabetic, but even reversed. And so that's huge. PCOS, a hormone-driven metabolic condition often worsened by insulin resistance. Fasting helps to regulate the cycles, lower androgens, and reduce inflammation. Another condition benefited from fasting is Alzheimer's, also known as type 3 diabetes. The brain becomes insulin resistant just like the body, and so fasting can increase ketone production, which will fuel the brain more efficiently and reduce those amyloid plaque buildups. Cardiovascular disease. Fasting improves blood pressure, cholesterol profiles, and endothelial function. And obviously, obesity. Fasting directly targets stored fat, reduces cravings, and resets the appetite-regulating hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So there is an awesome study out of the journal Cell Metabolism 2020 that showed that time-restricted eating significantly reduces markers of inflammation and improves cardiometabolic health. In this study, participants improved blood pressure, insulin sensitivity, and inflammatory markers, all by simply restricting their eating window without changing what they ate. Remarkable. And so here's a hot take for you, okay? If fasting could be packaged into a capsule, the big pharmaceutical industry would make it a $10 billion blockbuster drug. But because it's free and accessible and requires nothing but some discipline, most doctors never learn about it, and most patients never hear about it. So your body was designed to heal. Fasting doesn't just allow that process, it will accelerate it. And so in just 12 to 24 hours, your body starts doing what no medication really can. It starts reversing disease by removing the root cause. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to begin fasting and implementing this powerful practice into your life. But first, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors.
This episode of Health Decoded is brought to you by Authentic Nutrition, the brand redefining what it means to fuel your body the right way. At Authentic Nutrition, they believe that what you put into your body matters. That's why every single product is crafted with clean, premium ingredients and dosed with maximum efficacy to ensure you're not just meeting your health goals, you're exceeding them. No fillers, no shortcuts, no gimmicks. Whether it's their advanced supplements for energy, recovery, or gut health, you can trust that what's on the label is exactly what's in the bottle. Authentic Nutrition delivers science-backed formulations that work as hard as you do. If you're tired of products that promise the world but don't deliver, it's time to make the switch to Authentic Nutrition. Elevate your health with transparency, quality, and results you can feel. Check them out today at AuthenticNutrition.com and use promo code Alessi15 to get 15% off. That's THENTIC Nutrition.com, promo code ALESSI15 to save 15% and take the first step toward real, lasting health. Authentic Nutrition, fuel your best self. Now back to the episode.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for that. Now let's get into it. Let's talk about how to start fasting, but how to start fasting safely, because this is one of those things that when done properly is immensely beneficial, but when done improperly can actually maybe even be harmful. And so let's get one thing straight. You were born to fast. Your body already knows how. It's wired into your biology. And what's really gotten in the way is just the modern eating schedule, right? We wake up, eat, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, dessert, late night snack. That's not nourishment. That's constant interruption. And no, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day, despite what you've been told. So why does fasting feel hard at first? It's not because the body is broken, but it's because you've trained yourself to expect fuel constantly. This is called metabolic inflexibility. Your cells are stuck in sugar burning mode. So when you stop eating, your body freaks out at first because it doesn't remember how to tap into fat for fuel. Just like anything, with a little patience and practice, you can retrain it, and that's when the magic happens. So let's get into some protocols here. So the beginner fasting protocol that I recommend people who have never fasted, perfect for beginners, especially if your eating has been all over the place, is a 12-12 protocol. Basically, that's a 12-hour fasting window and a 12-hour eating window. A good example would look like you don't eat after 7 p.m. and then you can eat again after 7 a.m. And then your eating window is during the day. This isn't just fasting, this is normalizing your schedule again. And it often ties in with your circadian rhythm as well. That's a great place to start. Now, to take it up a notch, and this is something that I do almost basically every single day, is a 16-8 intermittent fast. So basically fasting from 8 p.m., I don't eat anything after 8, and then I don't eat until 12 the next day. So, the easiest way is just, hey, I'm not going to eat until lunch, skipping breakfast. And so you're shortening your eating window. The goal is you're going to get fat burning, improved insulin sensitivity, and reduced cravings. This is basically the gold standard of daily fasting, and most people can feel best when they skip breakfast and then they break the fast with a clean, protein-rich meal at noon. Pro tip here, hydration is key. Most people don't just need more food, they need more water and electrolytes. You'll often find that you can just drink some water with some Himalayan salt in it, and it's gonna decrease those hunger signals that your brain is creating. Now, the next step is a 24-hour fast, doing this like once weekly. So basically, an example is you stop eating after dinner, you don't eat until dinner the next day. The goal here is you're going to tap into that deep autophagy, a dramatic insulin reset, and you're going to start to recalibrate your body's appetite signals. So you still are eating every day, but it's just not for a 24-hour stretch during the week. This is ideal for experienced fasters who are ready to take it up a notch. Now, what can you consume while you're fasting? This is the question we hear all the time. Can I still do anything? There's different schools of thought on this, but basically, if it spikes insulin, it breaks the fast. That's it. So even healthy sweeteners that you can put into your coffee, they can sabotage this metabolic process. So what can you consume? Water, obviously, water still or sparkling, black coffee, as long as there's no cream or sweeteners, herbal teas, no flavors, no stevia, and electrolytes, which we recommend. Now, there's going to be people who are more hardcore fasters that say you can't have anything, even water. I go against that because I think the hydration is important and it's key to sustaining the fast, especially when you're just getting started. Now, a very important note here, when not to fast. Fasting isn't for everyone, and that's okay. You should avoid prolonged fasting if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. If you have a history of eating disorders, this could be a trigger. If you're underweight or malnourished, I don't recommend lowering your calorie count. And if you're taking medications for diabetes or blood pressure, make sure you're fasting with the supervision of a professional, right? Either a functional medicine doctor or even a medical doctor if they're well read on this. And so safety is always greater than speed. A real cool study out of the journal Obesity in 2015 showed that alternate day fasting led to significant weight loss and metabolic benefits without the loss of lean mass. So preserving that lean muscle tissue. So the translation here is basically you can burn fat and preserve muscle while fasting if it's done correctly and paired with enough protein in your eating window. That is a huge, huge critical factor. So just to rehash how to start and some practical steps, start with that 12-hour overnight fast. Stop eating after dinner, no snacks, and then eat breakfast 12 hours later. Delay breakfast by 30 minutes each day. Within a week, you'll likely hit that 14 to 16 hours of fasting without stress. That's a great way. Focus on quality during your eating window. Fasting isn't going to save you from eating ultra-processed junk food. So focusing on real whole foods and protein-rich meat while you're eating. And then supporting your body with proper sleep, movement, and stress management. Fasting is the spark, but you need oxygen, sleep, and calm to fuel the flame. Also, fasting is a mild stress on the body. And if you're chronically stressed, it may actually negatively impact you rather than positively. So it's always best to do it appropriately. And so fasting it's really simple, but it's not always easy, especially in a world where food is engineered to hijack your hunger, the marketing ploys, right? Everything's screaming at us, consume, consume. So that's why you need a plan and a protocol, and then obviously some confidence to listen to your body. And so I love this because we basically put together what we call the personal fasting toolbox. So I've given you some of the science, you understand the benefits. You might have even tried some protocols. Let's talk about how you make this stick and how you can do this consistently. Because the truth is, motivation will fade. Everybody has motivation at the beginning, but tools are what can keep you consistent. So here's some tools to help you succeed. There are apps, fasting tracker apps. This tracking builds awareness. Awareness builds consistency. And so some really cool apps are one called Zero. Very user friendly, it's educational, and it has like a community aspect to it. There's an app called Fastic. This is integrates steps, step counter, hydration, and basically a fasting timeline. And then there's an app called Life, which includes glucose, ketone, and mood tracking. This is really good for those more advanced biohackers. So here's the tip, right? Set your goal. Set a fasting goal, hit start, and watch how quickly your brain loves checking the progress bar on these apps. It's a very gamified way to make this something that you can cling on to. And now, really the next thing that we talk about in this fasting toolbox is electrolytes. They're not optional in our take on fasting. When you're fasting, your insulin will drop. This signals your kidneys to start flushing out sodium and water. That's good for your blood pressure, but if you don't replenish these minerals, you can often get what's known as the fasting fatigue. You just feel sluggish, you feel down. That's not a great way to become consistent because you're not going to want to do that. So some key minerals you want to replace are sodium. Huge. It's the most important one. Using things like Himalayan salt or Redmond real salt. Potassium. You can get this through cream of tartar in water. That's not going to break your fast, or a low dose electrolyte blend. And then magnesium, using magnesium glycinate or citrate. If you're feeling dizzy, headachy, or foggy during a fast, the chances are you just need more minerals. Now, the next one, and this is one that, again, the hardcore fasting people will say that this breaks your fast. However, it's not spiking insulin, so we approve of it, is using bone broth. This is liquid gold. If you're doing extended fasts, 48 to 72 hours, using bone broth can replenish those minerals and collagen. It's going to support the gut lining, and it can reduce hunger pangs without breaking your fast. So a little bonus is it keeps your fast kind of therapeutic while you're giving your body this kind of warm, comforting nutrient infusion. Now, all of those things are great ways to help you during the fast. Now, the next very important thing is how to break your fast the right way, because the first meal after a fast is critical. Your cells are now primed to absorb nutrients. Don't give them junk food, right? Don't give them a bunch of carbs and processed stuff. However, you do need to start slow. So the best combo for breaking a fast is a protein and a healthy fat. So things like some bone broth with added collagen, some eggs and avocado, and then maybe some grilled chicken with some olive oil. This combo is going to stabilize the blood sugar, prevent the dreaded post-fast crash, and it's going to ultimately give your body the nutrition that it's craving and is going to know what to do with. However, things to avoid is processed carbs, high sugar fruits or smoothies. Most people think a smoothie after a fast, but that's going to spike that insulin like crazy. And then large meals. You want to ease back into it. So think of your gut kind of like a muscle. It just rested. You don't want to slam it with a 3-plate buffet. You want to ease back in, starting with some bone broth, getting into some soft cooked veggies, some eggs that are scrambled, avocado, and then ultimately getting back into some whole food protein like grilled chicken with some olive oil. And so, it's really, yes, there's a physiological component, but there's also the mindset shift that comes with fasting, because fasting is freedom. It's not a punishment. It's not about restriction. You need to think about it as taking control, right? You are taking control of yourself from the sugar addiction, the constant hunger, the emotional tie to eating, right? We get dependent on eating. And so every fast is basically a vote for healing for your body. Every hour without food is time that your body spends repairing, regenerating, and optimizing. You're not depriving yourself. You're unlocking one of the most powerful healing states known to human biology. There was a study done in the journal Science Translational Medicine in 2016 that showed that fasting diets promote regeneration, reduce cancer incidence, and autoimmune symptoms. That's why we incorporate this into basically every functional medicine protocol that we use within our clinics. It's not fringe science. It's published evidence showing how fasting can regenerate systems pharmaceuticals only try to manage. So I want to leave you with a closing takeaway here. Fasting is not a fad. It's been around forever. It's not dangerous when you do it correctly, and it's certainly not profitable for the big pharmaceutical industry. But what is it? It's evolutionarily natural, scientifically proven, metabolic healing, and emotionally liberating, because your body isn't broken. It's just been overstimulated. So you need to give it what it needs. That's time. And then the miracles will follow. So if you want to learn more about how we incorporate fasting within functional medicine to improve health and longevity, go to alessifunctionalhealth.com, schedule a consultation with myself or one of my other providers, and let's create a personalized plan for fasting and for lifelong health. As always, listeners of the Health Decoded podcast are going to get exclusive discounts and price reductions on all of our protocols and lab testing. If you found value in today's show, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. That's how we grow. That's how this message gets out and how we can help people change more lives. If you want to get in touch with us or be featured on an episode and share your story, email us at ask@alessifxhealth.com. And visit alessifxhealth.com, sign up for our newsletter. That will keep you in the know of all the exclusive things we have coming out. And you can check out our resources page to learn about our cutting edge approach to nutrition and cutting edge therapies. Thank you so much for tuning into Health Decoded, where we break down the science, bust the myths, and help you take control of your health naturally. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, your health is in your hands.
Thank you for tuning in to Health Decoded, where we break down the truth about all things health and empower you to take charge of your well-being. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. For more resources and personalized support, visit us at alessifunctionalhealth.com and sign up for our newsletter. To hear your questions answered live on the show, send them to ask@alessifxhealth.com. That's ask@alessifxhealth.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, your health is in your hands.